Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Friday, September 17th at 12:39 p.m. Be a moderately length stream today, a little short stream, but I want to cover three topics. We're at a very critical threshold in macroeconomics. Evergrande in China is a Lehman Brothers type event relative to 2008 in the States. It's a massive liquidity slash potential insolvency situation, depending on how things play out with their commercial paper, CMBS, commercial mortgage-backed securities. It's a absolute mess to say the least. To top it off, we got the debt ceiling ridiculous situation going on in the States where they're actually debating not raising it. How are they going to default on treasuries? Who the heck would buy treasuries if they default on treasuries? It'll disrupt the entire global financial system. It's an absolutely ludicrous thought to even consider that they won't raise the debt ceiling when they have a capacity to just arbitrarily print as much capital as they want to make sure they're whole on their debt obligations. But they like to induce fear in the markets. Maybe they think they could put a little bit of downward pressure on it so it doesn't look as ridiculous as they do. Let's pop over some charts and talk about the ultimate question that we have as we consider the 2018 crypto market and the choice that we ultimately have. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social good. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto. Non-custodial DeFi or nothing at all. Bam, let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream today. Tyler, what is the advantage of Frax as stable versus USDC? USDC is backed by whatever Circle wants it to be and however Coinbase is handling it. And whoever the hell is in control of the reins at this point, either it's backed by dollars or maybe some assets. But the point is, it's under regulatory scrutiny. Whereas Frax is currently collateralized predominantly by stablecoins, the intention of the protocol, as per governance conversations, is to get away with reliance on USDC excessively and get it to be more a basket of assets, which is where stuff like Magic Internet Money comes in. And they are significantly further ahead in that regard. But that is not to the discredit of the intellectual capacity of the folks working on Frax Finance, which overall I see $100 billion potentially able to be clawed away from the old school legacy stablecoins that are under regulatory pressure. When you're talking about new innovation, um, you can disrupt ongoing disruptions. Now, stablecoins are indeed an ongoing disruption relative to legacy finance, um, but they're in a position to potentially be disrupted by censorship resistant assets that are created by pseudo anonymous characters, anonymous characters, and public figures, but likely not stateside. So the assets that are in a better position to handle the regulatory climate and pressures being placed on it by ongoing talks in Congress and the various government agencies that handle these matters. So the protocols that are on my radar significantly, I go through narratives. I tell stories, and the China narrative is solid. India narrative is still solid, and I allocate capital based on where I see the best opportunity. And probably, I'm leaning towards the stablecoin narrative being probably the strongest narrative right now, even more strong than the China narrative. The India narrative has petered out a bit. Polygon's hot. Everyone in India is going to be building on Polygon because it's national pride. It's obvious. My narratives are based on logic, reason, and reductionism. China narrative solid. Cosmos is hot. IrisNet's going to be hot. The BSN is driving it all. Digital yuan is going to be capital controls, totalitarian, and it's going to be interesting how all of that unfolds and it connects to this large global system. They want to be integrated. They want permission systems, but they want to be integrated with the global network, and that's where the BSN comes in, who's integrated with Ethereum, Polkadot, and Cosmos, and a bunch of other stuff that's not really on my radar. So crypto, stable coins, Abracadabra, MIM, Frax, FXS. Spell is the asset for to capture consumption of the Abracadabra protocol. And what Andre's always working on is his fixed forex, which got traction on Convex. These are censorship resistant stablecoins. There's nothing to do with banking in these assets. Well, Frax is working on it, but certainly the reliance on USDC and USDT from a magic internet money perspective is quite reasonable compared to just having USDC or just having USDT. So I think things are changing, and to me, the stablecoin narrative is significant. Let's look at the charts real quick and go through the rest of the comments, and then I'll hit on the question that we all are posed with. And we'll keep the stream moderate today. Captain Weber's in the house. It is always a pleasure. Peter, GB, not really eyes on it. Doug Oshie in the house. Malik, Igor. Uh, I can never pronounce your name, my friend. Beazle Irish? Beazle my man. Chris, good morning. No, I'm curious what made you move away from Ohm. So Ohm and Wonderland are big deals. You know, you can't own everything you want to own. I didn't move away from it. I just can't own everything I want to own. Um, they're big deals conceptually. They're innovative. They're treasury builders, and that's crazy. That's some novel shit from a conceptual standpoint. Building a treasury. That's crazy. It's not something for my position, though. Not my choice. It's just a subjective choice. James, Chris, I decided to take 2K worth of Omen stake in. I'm going to give it my 3-year-old daughter when she gets older. See, there's rationality in that statement. Hopefully, it's still there by then. Well, that's the speculative component, and got as long as you have time horizon and 2K, it either goes to zero or it becomes something significant, and that's a decent bet, my friend. I think China is heading for a recession. Have you read any? Well, that's what I mentioned on today's title of the stream. Um, they're too big to fail. They're going to do some repos and they're going to inject liquidity. And why would a country go into a recession? We're in the age of interventionism. It's been 2 years almost with what they did in 2020. And it's been 10 years plus what they did in 2008. We're in the age of interventionism. What the hell's the point of putting a country through a deflationary recession? They're not going to do it. And that's what I bet on. Um, Hi, everyone. Noah, curious as to know when do you change your view on crypto space? Did it happen gradually? Did you have an aha moment, say with Curve? Well, my narratives have been evolving for years. I've been involved with crypto for countless years, and I was very different back in 2020. I was much more capital gains oriented, and I didn't have the extensive macro perspective that I do now. And a lot of my strategy in the crypto space revolves around my understanding of macroeconomic conditions and just the way these people think. Fed actors, central bank actors, and BIS and the IMF and what they're wanting to do in their public messages and their ideas, ideology, strategy, so on and so forth. And I guess there's no real aha moment. It's just that I understand these digital protocols, these crypto protocols, and their monetary policies. And when I ended up seeing the connection between the way central banks operate, I was like, okay, these guys are doing the same shit. These are basically currencies. They have inflation, deflation, disinflation. They have incentive systems. They have everything. They have liquidity, monetary velocity because of DeFi. There's monetary velocity. That's crazy. That's a characteristic of a financial system, which is the historic and traditional money creation process of commercial banking. That's exists in the crypto space. That's crazy. So maybe that was an aha moment, but I don't have a time when that occurred. But Curve really was launched with Convex, and we saw the accumulation of VE Curve with Yearn's products, but we obviously saw the prolific dumping of Curve, so to offer the yield on those positions they created a year and a half ago. And Convex changed that. They started accumulating, only accumulating, and then the other protocols jumped in, and then you start to see the disinflationary pressure. Um, a decaying hyperinflationary protocol that's net deflationary often, if not really often, and disinflationary at worst. That's crazy. So Curve's monetary policy being hyperinflationary, decaying hyperinflationary, is a value generation engine. It's just printing capital, printing value, and the net policy is disinflationary at worst and deflationary at best. That's crazy. Beazle Irish, thank you for the clarification. My man. Let's talk technicals because BTC still just showing LH on W time frame. You know, BTC technicals don't interest me much. I've been looking more at the S&P 500, and I want to see strength on the 50 SMA on the daily. This is actually quite interesting. The last week, this is we have to go back to March where we see this much of an attack against the 50 SMA. This probably will head into next week significantly. Could have a very bullish weekend for the crypto space. But I mean, everything is really this chart, in my opinion. This means the most, in my opinion. We literally haven't had any retraces to a 200 EMA, 200 SMA since June of 2020 and a retest in November 2020. We're barely a retest. And the 100 SMA back in September of 20. So this thing's been riding the 50 SMA all this time. We'll see what happens. I don't think there's any place else for the capital to go. The general public around the world, the banks, the institutions, they have no idea what the fuck to do with the money outside of equities and securities and bonds and all the boring shit that make for an absolutely useless portfolio, in my opinion. Hillis is in the house, a pleasure. Hey, Noah, the best thing about working from home, hearing your stream live every day. It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure. Hey, Noah, thoughts on the network state, network effect? It's very broad. Everything has a different network effect, and I think stablecoins. I think MIM and Abracadabra are pushing ahead of stuff like Terra and UST. Um, I think some serious shit's going to go down with stablecoins, and $100 billion is on the table up for grabs. Monetary velocity, I got to read more about that. Yeah, Garner, check out M2 monetary velocity. Ooh, just Google it, M2 monetary velocity FRED, FRED, and you'll get the chart and you'll see what's going on with legacy finance. Thanks for answering. Always a pleasure. Franco Colombo, 800K USD to spell holder distributed, and it will continue to distribute day after day and week after week because that's the way the protocol works. It captures debt interest payments, transferring value from market participants, liquidity providers, weak hands to strong hands, persons that stake spell as a spell. And that's just strength for the protocol, in my opinion. Let's go through the charts real quick. Got a couple minutes left. So, spell uh, broke out and it was rejected. This is a heck of a chart. So I have eyes on this chart for spell. I have a position. I look at the technicals not because I would ever liquidate, and that really brings me to the last couple minutes where I want to pose the question. Curve looks solid. It's nice to see. I mean that trend line confirmation is extraordinary because that trend line is the entire history of the assets, the whole history of the asset from inception. That's an extraordinary trend line. And what do I have? Convex over here, I believe. So this is just I see as the yield on CVX CRV. This goes up and the yield on CVX CRV rips to the upside. You got 150% yield on CVX CRV. That's going to drive a huge amount of capital into CRV, which is also going to drive up yield because that's part of the yield on CVX CRV. And then that's going to encourage more people to accumulate CVX because they want to control that more expensive curve emissions policy. Any big worries on infrastructure bill passing with unfavorable crypto? I'm not really worried about much right about now. And even if I was, the final question is about conviction. Any truth to the Amin key associated with certain stablecoins? Which do you trust? I trust MIM, I trust Frax, and I trust Andre's the fixed forex. I trust GUSD. Fine, because that's dollars in a bank account and it's a really cool fiat off ramp. What's your favorite bridge? To what? I use Avalanche. I'm not going bridging back and forth and left and right. I'm not bridging. Some capital over there, a little bit of capital over here. I've used bridges like 5, 6 times to move a little bit of capital around. That's about it. AnySwap is cool, does the trick. Multi-chain XYZ from Andre is pretty cool, does the trick. And obviously Abracadabra's bridge does the trick for moving stables around. And, oh my God. To get off Arbitrum, boom. The Abracadabra bridge. You don't have to wait. Big deal. Big deal stuff is going on. All right, the ultimate question, are we in 2018? Or is these cycles going to keep going on? Are we in a super cycle? I personally think that the entire structure of the system is completely different. I think capital will come into the crypto space and there's no reason for it to leave. I said briefly in Twitter posts earlier today that when you liquidated assets on a centralized exchange in 2018 and you had a bearish market, what the heck are you going to do with your capital? You take your capital out and you chase outperforming assets. Capital flows from underperforming assets to outperforming assets. Now, if you have yield in the mix, 20, 30% yield, even 5% yield on stablecoins in the crypto space, why would capital leave the crypto space? It's going to get stuck in here. Markets will go down, markets will go up, but this is the place for capital. So I have more than enough conviction for me to conclude this isn't 2018. I have no interest in experiencing capital gains. No taxable events for me. I will handle it. I am proceeding the way a lot of people don't. People say, oh, I made 7 figures. I got 3 mil. I'm going to sell 1 mil of it. Hell no. I'm not giving the government 300 grand. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving them that money. Because that money belongs in an interest-bearing position to generate me an income. If it depreciates, it'll reappreciate in the coming years. I'm not giving that money away just because of fear and greed to have more. So let's say you have $3 million, you sell $1 million, you owe the government $300,000. That's $300 less $1,000 you have generating 50% interest a year. You just took a $150,000 salary cut because of fear. And that's my opinion on the markets. Let them do what they want to do. Let them pull all the strings and all the macroeconomic bullshit they want to pull. Let the market get bearish. I'll check back in 4 years when I'm cranking out 50% yield on whatever. 6, 7 figures. 8 figures maybe in 4 years. Not letting them push me around. It's not happening. Let me hit the last questions. No love for USDC? No, none. Last couple questions. Shantanu. I meant to say network state by Balaji. Most important macro chant. I don't know what that macro chant is. Network states. Second, if you trust MIM and Frax, you are going to love LUSD, probably the most decentralized stable out there. Yes, interesting. There's a lot of stuff that is opportunity overload, my friends. James, personally, I'm struggling to find anything which beats Seabridge. Yeah, seller. Cool. There's always something. There's always something else. There's always something new. Competition, alternative choices. What are you moving capital back and forth across the bridges? don't overtrade. I did like one transaction to Avalanche to move capital over there. That was like weeks ago, and I haven't really done any bridging since then. There's no reason to go back and forth. Good price entry for Boo long term. I like Boo. I like Boo. I like Spirit, and obviously Trader Joe. Not too much flair for Pangolin, but I mean, I think Phantom's got legs in the coming years. The Avalanche is ridiculous. I think they're all. I think all these chains go multiples. I think they all run multiples in the coming years. Interrupt. Crazy stuff, boys and girls. Let's wrap it up. 12:59 p.m. on a Friday, September 17th. I thank everyone for joining me today. Tell everyone to subscribe. After party on Discord. I'm going to crack out some office hours tonight. Probably like 8, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to get my vid letters cooking with some technicals. As always, I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will catch you again on Monday. Y'all have a good weekend now. Peace.